Guess who's back? Back again. Mikey's back. Tell a friend. Hey, everybody, here with another video for guys today. And today we have episode 3 of my retro 80s playback of NBA 2K23 on the Nintendo Switch. But before I go any further, let me just say, if you like this video, any of the videos on the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be getting into NBA 2K23, the Switch version, retro playback, after the intro coming in now.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
America! Demand
JP!
I want
MJP!
I want my
MJP!
I want my
MJP!
Call your cable company and say I want my
MJP!
Hey, welcome back to the NBA on 2K Sports. This is Ernie Johnson. Kenny the Jet Smith is right here. Say hey to the folks, Kenny.
Hey, folks.
Say hey to the folks, Shaq.
Hey, folks.
Hey, let's get this party started.
In our first game, we have the Miami Heat going up against the Detroit Pistons, with Detroit at home. And Isaiah Thomas starts the game strong. The nice drive to the hole. Nice play by Zeke. And then later on, he gets past John Crotty again and takes it to the hole for our mobile one drive. And then here, you see Bill Laimbeer says, "No soup for you. Get it out of here. You're not having none of that here in Detroit. Get it out of here." And then the first quarter comes to an end with Detroit up 25-20. And then at the start of the second quarter, Ronnie Cycli with the nice play for Miami. And we go into half with Miami up 44-43.
It was a closely contested first quarter for Miami. They trailed by as many as 6 points in the first period. They came together in the second period and managed to claw their way to a 1-point lead. Kenny, let's get your take on Miami.
You have to love a team that pounds the offensive glass. That's going to gain you extra possession. Check this out. Sometimes just having more offensive chances than your opponent wins the basketball game.
And Shaq, what are your thoughts on Detroit?
They ran their offense very well in the first half. There were almost no forced shots. Good, smart basketball. The motion in their offense was terrific. They made those defenders work very hard. I like what I saw from them for the most part.
And then the third quarter, Isaiah Thomas gets blocked on the drive to the hole. Big play by the Miami Heat. He's trying to slow down the little man. But he wasn't having none of it. And here he is taking another one to the hole. Two-handed slam. Nobody's rejecting that one. And at the end of the third quarter, we have the Pistons up 71-63 against Miami. And then at the start of the fourth quarter, John Crotty gets a nice drive. But our player of the game was Mikey J. He had a big game here tonight. He's getting the assists and knocking down the jump shots and the nice dunk and drive to the hole. He was just doing a little bit of everything to help the Pistons. Miami made it close down the stretch.
Here's Mashburn. Pass to Crowdy to take the lead. He can't get that one to fall. And Detroit the other way now. And I think we'll see him milk the clock a bit.
Yeah, seems like the heady move right now. Wow, that takes steady nerves right there.
And that was pretty much game after that, when Detroit goes on to win 94-88. Solid effort by the Miami Heat. Kudos for them coming into Detroit and playing such a tough game against the Pistons. But it wasn't enough. Detroit picked up the nice victory at home. And the home crowd was fired up. And you can see the Pistons were just firing on all cylinders, getting the rejections, the dunks, the assists, playing full team basketball. And here are the stats. Isaiah Thomas actually led the way with 28, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. He probably should have been player of the game over Mikey J, in all honesty. Mikey J had 27, 6 boards, 1 assist. Vinny Johnson was huge off the bench with 12 points and 4 assists. Bill Lambier was solid with 10 points and 6 boards. And the rest of the team pitched in how they, typically do. And for Miami Heat, Jamal Mashburn was their best player, and Glenn Rice was also solid for them, as was Ronnie Cycli. And John Crotty was completely outmatched by Isaiah Thomas in this one. And other scores, we have the Portland Trail Blazers picking up the win over the Dallas Mavericks. Good game out of Clyde Drexler here to lead them to the victory. And we have the Seattle Supersonics getting a big victory over the New Jersey Nets. Spencer Haywood puts in 30 points and 15 rebounds, just tearing it up for Seattle. And then the next game we have the Utah Jazz getting the victory over the Houston Rockets. Adrian Dantley puts in 34 points and 7 rebounds as they get the big victory over Hakeem Olajuwon and the Houston Rockets. And then the Los Angeles Lakers get the victory over the Sacramento Kings. Magic Johnson had 18 points and 9 rebounds, and Sacramento just didn't have any answer for him. And then the Memphis Grizzlies get the victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves in a couple of teams that didn't exist yet in the 80s. And then here, the Philadelphia 76ers lose a stunner to the Orlando Magic, another team that shouldn't exist yet. Beat one of the powerhouses of the NBA in the Philadelphia 76ers. Tough loss on the chin for them. And then the Denver Nuggets continue to stay undefeated with a 185 victory over the Houston Rockets. Houston is just starting the season struggling, while the Denver Nuggets are just tearing it up. And then in our next game, we have the Detroit Pistons taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. And here's a look at the starters, and the game starts out with Terry Cummings making a good play, getting the mobile one drive. Good play out of him, but the first quarter comes to an end with Milwaukee ahead 24-22 over Detroit at home. Milwaukee's holding strong, trying to hold down that home court advantage for them. And then here in the second quarter, Vinny Johnson comes in off the bench, getting a nice drive to the hole. But look at this dunk out of Marcus Johnson. Huge dunk.
Boom, shakalaka!
And that right there might be the play of the game. What a dunk out of him. And we go into halftime with Detroit leading 49-38 over the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee's not holding their home court advantage so far in the game.
It was a closely contested first quarter for Detroit. Some good moments from both teams, but as the first period wrapped up, they trailed by 2. They're in a terrific position now thanks to their flawless execution in the second quarter. Some excellent work offensively now has them up 11 at the break. Taking a look at the Pistons, Shaq, what you think?
They're running some great offense right now, working the ball in good spots, taking what the defense gives them, not forcing them shots. We'll see if they can maintain that discipline in the second half.
And Kenny, how about what you saw from the Bucks?
Ice cold. Frigid from beyond the arc. The question is now, can they shake it off and get back in the groove? Another option is compensate by going to the rim.
And then the third quarter begins with Isaiah Thomas getting a nice drive to the hoop for another good 2 points. But the Pistons are leading at the end of 3, 73-61. Just pulling away on the Milwaukee Bucks. And our State Farm assist to the game goes to Isaiah Thomas finding Mikey J at the top of the key, who drives to the hoop for the nice layup. Good assist there by Zeke. And here Paul Pressey makes a nice drive, spin move, getting the 2 points for Milwaukee. And look at this dunk, two-handed jam by Terry Cummings.
Boom, shakalaka!
Milwaukee's trying to hold in strong, but our player of the game was Isaiah Thomas. He was just all over in this one. Milwaukee really didn't have an answer for him in this game whatsoever. No one on their team could guard him. He was racking up the assists, just driving to the hole at rim or at will. They had no answer for little Zeke, and the Milwaukee Bucks didn't, and he is our player of the game. Just tearing it up, Isaiah was. And the Pistons pick up the victory 94-83 over Milwaukee in Milwaukee. Nice road victory for the Pistons. And Milwaukee's going to have to regroup after this loss. And what can you say about these Pistons as they're continuing their winning ways, winning at home, winning on the road, playing suffocating defense, just doing what it takes to get the victory. And here's a look at the box scores. Sidney Moncrief led the Milwaukee Bucks with 24, 2 points and 2 rebounds and 4 assists. Marcus Johnson at the battle of the small forward with Mikey J. He had 20 points, 4 rebounds and 4 assists in that huge dunk. Terry Cummings was also strong. Mike Dunleavy, who is the starting point guard, just had no answer for Isaiah Thomas at the defensive end. And then Isaiah led the Pistons with 29 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. Like I said, he was just completely unguardable in this one. And Mikey J, he ended up getting 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Solid performance out of him. And Vinny Johnson was huge off the bench with 16 big points coming off the bench. He's just becoming the 6th man of the year contender. Kelly Tripucka was solid, as he typically is for the Pistons. And Bill Laimbeer was also solid with 8 points and 8 rebounds. And DJ Deck was also strong off the bench with 7 points as well. And Rick Mahorn, got a couple of baskets in there as well as 6 boards. And John Sally pulled down 8 rebounds for the Pistons. But let's look at this Mikey J versus Marcus Johnson. A couple of great small forwards in the game. And they both got 20 points. But Marcus Johnson got the play of the game. But we're going to give the edge to Mikey J for getting the victory. And then in a surprise stunner, the Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics 98-73. Kind of blow out the Celtics, but the Celtics bounce back and get a nice victory over the Orlando Magic as they're continuing their road trip down in Florida. And the Memphis Grizzlies lose a close one to the Sacramento Kings. And here the Charlotte Hornets lose a close one to the New Jersey Nets. And then our next game, we have the Pistons going up against the Houston Rockets. And this should be a nice matchup. A couple of good teams in the 80s. And Calvin Johnson, he starts out strong. Calvin Murphy, I should say. And look at this rejection by Ralph Sampson. No soup for you. Get it out of here, he says. Not having none of that. But the Pistons are up 24-17 at the end of one. And here in the second, Vinny Johnson continues his strong play off the bench, getting a nice drive to the hole for 2 points. And at the halftime, the Pistons are up 47-36 over the Houston Rockets and appear to be running away with it.
Detroit finds themselves ahead after 2 quarters. They lead by 11. And Shaq, what are your thoughts on Detroit?
The difference so far has been the efficiency of their offense. The ball movement is really good. They're not afraid to use the whole shot clock if they have to. Overall, they're making every possession count.
How about you, Kenny? What did you think about Houston?
The effort hasn't been there in terms of rebounding the ball. They're getting outworked in that part of the ball. But you got to be more physical to turn this thing around. I don't know if they have the personnel to do that.
And then the third quarter, Isaiah Thomas starts out strong. Nice drive to the hoop. Great outlet pass there by Rick Mahorn to find the defense slacking in transition early in the third. Nice, and he gets the end one on it as well. And he goes to the line and knocks down the free throw. Nice 3-point play for Isaiah. And here's Mikey J with a nice strong drive as well. And we end. Look at that rejection again by Ralph Sampson. He's beat. It's almost a mirror copy of the last play. Great rejection by Ralph Sampson again. And the third period comes to a close with the Pistons blowing out the Rockets 72-56. And our assist of the game goes to Rick Mahorn for that great outlet pass to find Isaiah Thomas, catching the defense sleeping and getting the and one. Nice, makes the 3-point play with at the line. Nice assist by the big man. And Calvin Murphy, he was trying to compete with Isaiah and had himself a solid game, getting a nice drive to the hole. Ooh, a nice big dunk by Hakeem Olajuwon.
Boom, shakalaka!
Olajuwon came alive in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough, and Mikey J takes a two-handed dunk and puts it right in Olajuwon's face, and Mikey J ends up getting the player of the game. There was nobody on Houston's team that could match up with him, that could guard him whatsoever. He was a clear mismatch for the Rockets, and there was nothing that they could do. They had no answer for him, and he was just tearing up the Houston Rockets in this one. And the Pistons get the victory 93-79 over the Houston Rockets. Nice road victory again for the Pistons. Continue their winning ways here, and Detroit's looking like a contender early in the season. And here's some more highlights. And everybody's just been chipping in for this team. They've been playing good team basketball, unselfish basketball, and it goes to show, and all the team is playing well. And Calvin Murphy led the Rockets with 21 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. Hakeem Olajuwon came alive in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough, and he get 15 points and 7 boards. And Ralph Sampson, he was solid with 8 and 8 with 3 huge rejections. But Mikey J ended up with 22 points, 11 boards, and 1 assist and 1 steal, leading the way for the Pistons. And Vinny Johnson, he was huge off the bench for Detroit with another 16 points, 1 rebound, and 5 assists. He's becoming the man to go to, looking to get 6th man of the year. And Isaiah Thomas, he was solid with 15 points and 4 assists. Kelly Tribuca pitched in 12 points. And DJ Deck got 12 off the bench for the Pistons as well. And Bill Laimbeer got 8 points and 13 rebounds. And the rest of the Pistons chipped in how they do. And then you got the Lakers picking up the victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big game, James Worthy had a big game with 39 points and 5 rebounds. And then you got the Seattle Supersonics with the big victory over the Utah Jazz. Spencer Haywood was huge in this game as well. Continues to be one of the dominant forces here in the NBA. And let's look at our players of the week. Michael Jordan's gotten player of the week twice, Mikey J once, Dominique Wilkins and Larry Bird out in the East. And then here's a look at the standings. Detroit is off to a 7-0 start, leading the Central Division, and the Bulls are 2-1 in second place, and Cleveland is 2-2, and the Bucks are 2-5, and Indiana's down in the basement. In the Southeast Division, Miami Heat is leading this one at 2-3, and this is really the Atlanta Hawks division to win. Surprised they're off to a 2-4 start. And in the Atlantic Division, we got the Celtics and the 76ers, but the Celtics are off to a struggle early on, up at 4-3 start, and out west you got the Los Angeles Lakers 6-1. This is really their division to win, and look at the Northwest Division. This is probably the toughest division in the whole league, and you got the Seattle Supersonics, Portland Trail Blazers, Denver Nuggets, all undefeated, and Utah is a solid 4-2 as well. Really tough division there. And then the Southwest Division, this is really the Dallas Mavericks division, and they're off to a 4-2 start, and they should lead the way here. And then let's look at the NBA power rankings. You know, the Pistons are number 1 in the power rankings right now, but we've got Portland Trail Blazers, Seattle, Denver, Lakers, Philadelphia. The Chicago Bulls are at 7th according to NBA.com. And down in the basement, you got the Pacers and the Hornets and the Grizzlies and the Rockets. And most of these teams shouldn't belong here, but the Rockets are just really struggling. A 1-8 start for them. Just pathetic. And then let's take a look at the league leaders. Michael Jordan's leading the entire NBA in scoring at solid, amazing 44 points per game, just tearing it up. Dominique Wilkins is in second with 33.3 points per game for human highlight film. And we have Rolando Blackman. He's putting in a solid 29 points per game as well. And you got Spencer Haywood, again, tearing it up for Seattle Supersonics, and he's putting in almost 29 a game as well. And Jeff Malone for the Washington Bullets, getting in 28. And David Thompson, Louis Dampier, Nate Tiny Archibald, Otis Birdsong, Bernard King, Dr. J, and Mikey J is in 12th at 25.7 points per game. And let's take a look at rebounds. Nate Thurman's leading the NBA in rebounding at 14.5 per game. Spencer Haywood is right on his heels, as is Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, Maurice Lucas, Buck Williams, Artis Gilmore, Bob McAdoo, and Akeem Olajuwon. And the number 1 player for me is Bill Laimbeer at 17. And then assists, Magic Johnson's leading the way, no surprise there. You got Fat Lever, Nate Archibald, John Stockton, Derek Harper, Doc Rivers, Dennis Johnson, and I'm not going to have anybody near the top of the assists and steals. You got Muggsy Bogues, Fred Brown, Nate Archibald, and here's just a quick look at the top 10 in steals. And then here's a look at the top 10 in blocks. And then let's take a look at the rookie stats. And of course, Michael Jordan's running away with Rookie of the Year, averaging 44 points a game. And here's what the rest of the rookies are doing, getting in some solid numbers across the board for a lot of these players. And then rebounds, Charles Barkley's leading all rookies in rebounding, no surprise there. And then assists, of course, John Stockton's leading all rookies in assists. This is what should be expected. And Jordan's leading all rookies in steals, and Olajuwon in blocks. And then let's take a look at the team stats. Mikey J's leading the Pistons in scoring with 25.7 points per game. But Isaiah Thomas has had a couple of big games, and he's right on his heels at 23 points per game. Isaiah's been one of the harder players for other teams in the NBA to guard thus far. Kelly Tripucka has averaged 12.7. Vinnie Johnson getting 10 points off the bench. And Bill Laimbeer's averaging a solid 8 points per game. And DJ Deck is getting 7 points off the bench. And that's all the scoring of note there. Let's take a look at rebounds. Bill Laimbeer leads the team at 10 rebounds a game. Mikey J's in second with 8.6 solid rebounding numbers out of him. And James Buddha Edwards putting in almost 5 rebounds per game off the bench. And Isaiah's leading the team in assists at 3.4. Kelly Tripucka is number 2 at 3.1. And Vinnie Johnson's got 2.9 off the bench. And steals per game, none of us are really doing all that great there. And Mikey J's leading in blocks per game. So that's what the Pistons are up to. So now let's take a look and see what the Bulls are up to stat-wise. And Michael Jordan's leading the team with 44 points per game. Reggie Theus is averaging 16. Harvey Houston 7.3 off the bench. George Gervin 6.3, and all down from there. It's pretty much Jordan and the Jordan-airs at this point. Brad Sellers is leading the team in rebounds at 7 boards per game. Solid rebounding out of him. But again, it's pretty much Jordan and the Jordan-airs at this point. But that's okay. That's how we're kind of running it here. Reggie Theus is getting 7.3 assists per game, though. That's really solid numbers assist-wise for him. I like to see that. And Jordan leads the team in steals at 1.7 steals per game. See if we can get that up a little bit. And Brad Sellers is leading the team in blocks at 1.3. And Jordan's having 2 turnovers per game. And that's pretty much it for the Bulls statistics. Now the next game will be a tough one for the Bulls. It will be against the Phoenix Suns, and you look at the matchups, they're pretty much outclassed across the board. The only position they have the advantage is at the 2 guard with Michael Jordan. So let's see what happens in the next episode of Retro 80s Playback. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, we got merch store. If you want to take a little piece of the show with you, you can get it right here. We got everything. You want some Mikey J stuff? We got the Mikey J Productions for you. So take a chance and stop by. We'll take care of you.